So, X-File 2708, aka Marcus, has a bit of a problem. He has no knowledge of Westerns, and he messaged me to ask me if I could do a video recommending some Westerns on where to start if you don't know anything about the genre. He has watched, I think he said he was watching The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, which is a good place to start, but he doesn't know where to go from there. So he messaged me asking me if I had any recommendations and whether or not I could do a video or like a beginner's guide to Westerns. Now, I'm not a Western expert. I've watched a lot, but I'm not an expert on the genre as it is. Probably more so on World War II films than I am on Westerns, but I have watched quite a few Westerns, and it is a genre that I actually really like. So I've got a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 physical copies of Westerns. And I'll throw in a few more that I don't actually have access to at the moment because they're probably in storage. But the first one I'm going to kick off with is this. This is a very good place to start. This is The Searchers, starring John Wayne. It's directed by John Ford. And it also stars Jeffrey Hunter, Vera Miles, Ward Bond, and Natalie Wood. This is a fantastic Western. This is probably one of the best Westerns ever made. It is somewhat controversial now when you really think about it, and it has a little bit of an issue with racism towards Native Americans, and John Wayne is not a very nice person in this, but the plot sort of, it kind of, I know this is going to sound weird, but it kind of feels a little bit like the movie Taken, but a lot more Western, if you know what I mean. Like, his niece is kidnapped by was it a Comanche? Yeah, kidnapped and captured by Comanches, and he spends a year trying to track her down and rescue her. A phenomenal film, gorgeously photographed. Who was the director of photography? Doesn't say, but brilliantly directed by John Ford, and a fantastic place to start as well. So if you're going to watch a John Wayne film, you start with this one because it's a phenomenal film. So that's The Searchers. Then we've got the obvious choices. He said he's already watched one of them, but it would be the Man with No Name trilogy, the Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone triple masterpiece collection, which started with A Fistful of Dollars in 1964. Is it 1964? I think it was 1964. Then it followed it up with For a Few Dollars More in 1965. And I think it was 1966. He finished off the Man with No Name trilogy with The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. So all three films are just masterpieces of Western filmmaking. Introduced the world to Clint Eastwood as a formidable anti-hero in the Western genre, which is the kind of role that he would play again and again and again and again over the course of his career as a actor. But you can't go wrong with the Dollars trilogy. Just phenomenal Westerns, I guess. Interesting thing about Fistful of Dollars is that they were, Sergio Leone was sued by Akira Kurosawa for taking the plot of Yojimbo and remaking it as a Western without giving any form of credit. Unlike Walter Hill, who sort of remade Yojimbo as Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis in 1995, 96, who did then credit Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo as that. But yeah, amazing movies. Following on with that, we've got another goat of a Western, and my personal all-time favourite Western, I think. I think this film is just phenomenal. Unforgiven, directed by Clint Eastwood, produced and directed by Clint Eastwood, and written by David Webb Peoples, who I think wrote... I think he wrote Blade Runner, but this is so good. I don't want to spoil the movie, but there are moments in this film, like the more you watch this film, the more you realise Clint's character is dropping back into his old life. Clint Eastwood plays a former outlaw gunslinger criminal by the name of Bill Mooney, or Bill Money, however you want to say his name, who is hired to protect some prostitutes who have been sort of beaten up by local people in a town which is run by Gene Hackman's villain, who's meant to be a sheriff. But yeah, so good. Just like... There's a reason it won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. It's just amazing. Stars Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, and Richard Harris. There's also Saul Rubinek is in it. And there's someone else in it as well, but I can't remember who it is right now. But yeah, basically any Western starring Clint Eastwood is always a good go-to place. But Unforgiven is like the highest tier of like incredible Western movies. I have one more. If I've got it out. I don't think I do. I don't. But I'll mention it towards the end. Then we go back to Sergio Leone for possibly the most epic Western ever made. And it is Once Upon a Time in the West, starring Claudia Cardinal, Henry Fonda, Jason Robards, and Charles Bronson. It's co-written by Dario Argento. Well, they haven't put that on the back, but yeah, it's co-written by Dario Argento. And Dario... Is it Dario something? I can't remember now. But this is epic. This is a huge movie. It's 165 minutes long, and it's an interesting film because Henry Fonda had always played the straight good guy, the cop, or the good guy, and he is cast against type in this film as the villain, and his villain is like one of the best screen villains you will ever see. You've never seen an actor play a character like Henry Fonda played in this movie. And yeah, the opening at the train station with the harmonica and Charles Bronson, it's just tension racking. So yeah, highly recommend Once Upon a Time in the West. Then we have, which I'm hoping the disc is still, yes, it is now. Another top tier 60s Western. This is not a spaghetti Western, however, it is a studio Western, but it is a Western that is directed by Sam Peckinpah, and it is The Wild Bunch with, again, another magnificent cast. You've got William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, Robert Ryan, Edmund O'Brien, Warren Oates, Jamie Sanchez, and Ben Johnson. And I've been watching quite a lot of William Holden movies lately, and I can tell you that William Holden is like a badass. So yeah, The Wild Bunch, it is hyper violent. It's long as well. So it's what? How long is this one? I say it's long. It's 145 minutes, which is around average for most films that are made by a studio these days, especially when it comes to like comic book movies and stuff. But yeah, The opening bank robbery of this is incredible, and the final shootout is very bloody and very gory, and was a very big inspiration to John Woo when it came to the balletic slow motion type of action sequences. So The Wild Bunch is definitely up there as a recommendation. I have a really itchy nose today, I don't know why. Let me have a drink. So this isn't a beginner's guide or anything. This is a recommendation this is a video of recommendations. If you've never watched a Western before, if you want to get into the Western genre. And I'm not giving you the obscure Westerns. I could throw in things like The Great Silence or My Name Is Nobody. But I'm not going to, because this is for someone who wants to get into the genre. And another film that is fantastic for getting into the genre, and which for some reason is still cellophaned, which I'm going to open because it seems to be falling apart. Let's get rid of that. So another really good one, one which a lot of people swear by, is this, which is Tombstone. This is starring Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer, and it's a great Western. It was directed by George P. Cosmatos, who I think he passed away during the making of this. I'm not 100% sure. And there are rumours that Kurt Russell took over directing duties and directed the remainder of the movie, but from what he said, the majority of the film was shot. But it was originally a different director who had started the film, but he was fired and George Cosmatos was brought on. He is a director known for things like Sylvester Stallone's Cobra and what else was there? The Cassandra Crossing, which is a late 70s runaway train nuclear Cold War movie. It's okay, it's not amazing, but yeah, Tombstone is really good. It's about the gunfight at the OK Corral. Fantastic cast in it. Let's read the cast. Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Michael Biehn, Powers Booth, Robert Burke, Dana Delaney, Sam Elliott's in it, Stephen Lang, Joanna Pacula, Bill Paxton, Jason Priestley, Michael Rooker, John Tenney, Billy Zane, and Charlton Heston. Which I forgot Charlton Heston was in this, because I haven't seen this in a very long time, as you can probably tell because I've just taken the cellophane off. But yeah, I remember this being a very, very cool film. I do own this on DVD as well. So Tombstone, if you want a 90s Western, then Tombstone is a great one to start with. Then we've got this one, which is Kevin Costner's previous directorial effort before Horizon, and it's Open Range. Now, Open Range, I've seen this film about 4 or 5 times, which is why the Blu-ray's still sealed. I just haven't got around to watching it on high def, and I've seen it on DVD for years and years and years. But yeah, Open Range, really, really good. It's a bit of a slow burn, so don't expect guns blazing, shoot 'em up straight away. But it's, like I said, it's a bit of a slow burn. It's about 2 cattle rustlers, I guess you could say they were. What was it? Yeah, about two cowboys played. Well, there's 4 cowboys, but the 2 main ones are played by Kevin Costner and Robert Duvall, and they are sort of run out of town by Michael Gambon's shady businessman in the West, and yeah, it. Excuse me. And they basically have a gigantic shoot. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but let me just say that Open Range has one of the best shootouts ever put on film at the end of this film, and it's incredible. Really good movie. So yeah, I mean, Open Range is pretty good. Then we have a bit of 80s fun with the sort of Brat Pack Western with Young Guns. Young Guns is a the violent tale of William Bonney, aka Billy the Kid, who is part of a group called the Regulators that was put together by Terence Stamp, and it consists of Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, Lou Diamond Phillips, Emilio Estevez, Casey Zamasco, and Dermot Mulroney, and it's a fun movie. There is a sequel to this called Young Guns 2, which is also pretty good, but I'd say Young Guns is probably the first best option if you want like an 80s western, a fun throwaway 80s western that has some good action sequences in it. You could also go with something like the Long Riders, which I'll show a poster there, which is a Walter Hill film, or you could also watch Silverado, which is a Lawrence Kasdan movie, which is also a lot of fun, but was a massive disappointment, or massive box office flop during the 80s when that came out. Now I'm going to choose 3 more, and then I'll throw a few more out that I don't have to hand. You've got this. This is the Clint Eastwood collection. This has got Pale Rider, Outlaw Josie Wales, and Unforgiven. Now I'm not going to recommend Pale Rider. It is a good film, but the last one I'm going to recommend on physical media is a much better version of that film. The Outlaw Josie Wales is probably Clint's best 70s output when it comes to the Western genre. And let me read the back. As the Outlaw Josie Wales, Clint Eastwood is ideally cast as the hard-hitting, fast-drawing loner, recalling his man with no name from the European Westerns. After avenging his family's brutal murder, Wales is on the run. Pursued by a pack of killers, he travels alone, but a ragtag group of outcasts, including Sandra Locke, who would appear in a lot of Clint Eastwood movies with him during the 70s and the 80s, and Chief Dan George, are drawn to him, and Wales can't leave his motley surrogate family unprotected. It's a good movie, really good film. It's, again, I think it's quite long. 138 minutes, 136 minutes, sorry. But again, it's one of the films that is definitely worth your time if you want a decent Western. Well, a good Clint Eastwood Western. But this is my second favourite Western of all time. Well, my second favourite Clint Western of all time. And this is the one that I said is a better version of Pale Rider. And it's High Plains Drifter, which is about a cowboy that rides into a town and finds that it's kind of under attack, I guess, by a gang of outlaws led by Jeffrey Lewis, and is sort of being run by the leftovers of his gang. Who Jeffrey Lewis's character is in prison, and his gang are kind of running this town. And his character is getting out of prison to ride to this town, and so they ask Clint, who is kind of a man with no name type of character. Portrays him like a mysterious stranger who emerges out of the heat waves of the desert and rides into the guilt-ridden town of Lago. It's because there's not very good light here. Trouble is coming to town, and the stranger is going to be at the center of it. What he does is he gets them to paint the entire town red, and changes the name from Lago to Hell, to basically scare the shit out of the incoming gang. It's a great movie. There are possible supernatural overtones to it, but yeah, High Plains Drifter is a cracking Western. So those are the ones that I've picked on physical. You could also, if you can find it, there's a very good Western from the makers of the Series 24 called Forsaken, which stars Kiefer Sutherland and Demi Moore and Donald Sutherland and Brian Cox, which is very, very good. It's a very low-key Western. That's pretty good. It's got some good shootouts in that. There's also the original 1968, I think it was 1968, the original Django from Sergio Corbucci, starring Franco Nero. I don't have the Blu-ray of that. I do have a DVD of it somewhere. I think it's in one of the bags, so I couldn't really get that out. But that's a cracking movie. The UK Blu-ray prior to the recent one that's been released was shockingly bad and not worth the money. The DVD I have is perfectly good. I will at some point hopefully get the 4K, but Django, obviously, great movie. What else is there? The Quick and the Dead by Sam Raimi, which has got Russell Crowe, Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, Leonardo DiCaprio in it, about a town that has a gunfight contest every year, and Sharon Stone arrives to take part in the gunfight contest, but she has ulterior motives as well. So that's really, really good and worth checking that one out. It's a little bit. It's very Sam Raimi. There are very obvious Sam Raimi camera like tricks and movements and stuff in it. Not as in your face as like the Evil Dead, but yeah. Definitely worth checking that one out. Then you've got How the West Was Won, which was this huge, sprawling Cinerama movie starring James Stewart and George Peppard and a host of Hollywood big names. That is an incredible film. Cinerama was shot on 3 different cameras, and it was projected on 3 screens. Highly recommend checking that one out. It spans multiple generations of, I think it's one family, as the developing West, as the West develops, basically. Very, very good. Dances with Wolves, obviously, Kevin Costner film. What else is there that I could throw out that's pretty good? There's like, you could watch a lot. There's Wild Bill as well, from another Walter Hill Western with Jeff Bridges as Wild Bill Hickok. That's a pretty good one. A bit of a weird one, actually, that one is. Any older ones? Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, The Sons of Katie Elder, the original True Grit and the remake of True Grit from the Coen brothers. Both great movies. What else? And Wyatt Earp, starring Kevin Costner and directed by Lawrence Kasdan. Another sprawling western about the life of Wyatt Earp. So those are just a few that I thought I'd throw out. The Silverado as well, which I said, I think. So there we are. That's my little mini guide to the Western genre. Hope you enjoyed it, Marcus, and hope you managed to find your way into the genre. So that's me. I've been Pete. This is Pedro's Movie Cavern. That is my mini guide to Westerns. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna give you a salute, throw up the peace sign, and tell you that I am out. Cheers, everyone. Have a good one.